Just before we get to questions, which obviously I'm happy to answer all your questions, I just thought it was really important to introduce Zane. Zane ran out with the boys from North Melbourne today and did a great job. And I think while it's really important that to the footy community that we put on a great game of footy today, and we work really hard to try and achieve an outcome, and unfortunately we fell just short, but I think we're in need of a really important reminder that we're in a privileged position to do what we do, and we say that there's no such thing in luck in sport, but there's certainly such a thing as luck in life, and coaches, players are in a privileged position to be able to do what we do, and we shouldn't have a God-given right to do what we do. We're really fortunate that we're in this position. Some of us in life don't have that privileged position, and they get dealt a pretty poor hand. So I think today put everything in perspective for our players and our coaches, and hopefully everyone in the footy community has a better understanding and a better idea of what some young boys like Zane go through absolutely no fault of their own. So I might ask Zane just to say a few words and tell everyone just a bit about his story and the things that he's been through. Thanks, Zane.
I was born with hypoplastic left heart, so I was born with half a heart, which means I don't have a left ventricle, so my right ventricle has to do all the pumping of the blood to my body. It's a bit tough sometimes because you don't get to run as much without getting. I get puffed out pretty quickly, and so it's a bit tough there. But apart from that, just.
And so, Zane, how many operations have you had to have?
I've had 4 open heart surgeries. My last one was in 2009, so I haven't had to had any apart from that, which is good.
Okay. So it puts everything in perspective, and again, today's bigger than just footy, and it's just North Melbourne's really privileged and honoured to be able to give back to the unbelievable work that the Royal Children's Hospital do for young men like Zane, and hopefully we can all dig deep and make a big difference this year. So happy to answer any of your questions, and maybe you've got some for Zane.
Brave performance, Brad, but I imagine you're proud of the players but disappointed in the result at the same time.
Yeah, we're really disappointed. I think the framework of what we're trying to do is hopefully on show for all to see. As coaches, we feel like we're doing a lot right, but not getting a lot of reward for that effort. But again, having Zane here sitting next to me puts things in perspective. We could sit here and say, "Oh, gee, we were unlucky," but that wouldn't be the case. We didn't capitalise on our dominance in parts of the game, and we gave up too many easy goals at crucial times when the flow of the game was going our way. So we've got to make sure that, while we're disappointed, that we don't feel sorry for ourselves and label ourselves as unlucky.
The fight in the last quarter, was that a sort of step forward from the Geelong game where you sort of seemed to die out? I mean, they just sort of kept coming and coming. The Dogs, I think, kicked 3 goals late and looked as though they were home, but they just didn't seem to stop today.
Yeah, I thought the hunger and fight was fantastic. I thought they really had a lot of belief that we could get over the line, and that's really promising. I think that you're right. The Dogs put a bit of a gap on us late, and came down to the final second. And if that last kick goes straight, we're sitting here in victory. But I mean, if we were sitting here in victory because that last kick was straight, there's still some things that rookie errors made by a bit of a rookie team. So we've got to spend some time fixing that. But again, if the framework and the fundamentals were not there, then we'd be really concerned. But really, it's a bit of a few rookie errors and some general polish that hurt us, because we're hard and tough in the contest, but we certainly lacked a bit of polish at times.
What did you make of the free kick just on 3/4 time, and I think went against Swallow in terms of the third man up rule? It seemed a bit confusing. Have you had a sort of look at it?
Yeah, our midfield coaches weren't overly happy, but I just went down to I didn't have enough time to sort of worry about it. It was spilt milk a little bit by that stage, but and I haven't gone back and had a look at it again, so the umpires will have to work out how they adjudicate that rule, because clearly there are some anomalies at the moment and just some issues with adjudicating it. But what I will say about it is that I like the fact that we're protecting the 200 centimetre plus players in the game. You can't jump third up at a centre bounce, so why should you be allowed to do that around the ground? And we don't want to breed our big, tall, beanpole type ruckman out of the game. So the rule in itself, philosophically, I agree with, but clearly the adjudication and the execution needs a little bit of tweaking.
The deliberate out of bounds against Scott Thompson late in the game, Brad, did you see that? Did you have a take on that one?
Yeah, again, I think the spirit of the rule is good. You know, do we still call it deliberate out of bounds? Because it's not, but we still call it that, I think. Yeah, you're 4 points down, you're trying to win the game, we're not trying to hit it out of bounds. You know, that's just where a bit of game understanding comes in. But, you know, the umpires have communicated to us that if the umpires are in doubt, they'll pay it. So that's a fairly negative bias there in terms of where we sit.
You've been in contention just about every week so far. Do you take a lot of promise from the fact that you're getting the buy-in from such a young group?
Yeah, they're an awesome group to work with. We're no doubt in the JLT series. We were pleasantly surprised with the level that they could produce, because we knew we had some vulnerabilities. But led by Jack Zeeble, he's a very demanding leader, and the others are jumping on and following him really strongly at the moment. So, as I said, the framework's there, but we've got to add some polish, and we've got the capacity to do that, both with improving skill level with the current group and probably adding to that in time as well.
Both teams, Brad, I think the first quarter had a lot of handballs, a really high sort of handball to kick ratio. Was there anything about the game at that point you think that was forcing both sides to do that?
I think both teams are probably pretty keen to win the ball around the contest, which means that if you're doing that, you want to be able to use the ball going forward. And we were pretty adamant that we didn't want to. The Bulldogs play a pretty effective defence when the ball's coming in long and high, so we didn't want to do that. And I think probably the corresponding clash last year, round 6, it was a bit the same. So I suspect they didn't want to just kick the ball in either. So that can tend to lead to a bit of overuse and high pressure. But when both teams were able to break through that, they were both able to score pretty effectively.
Pleasing to see a better game from Todd Goldstein, and I suppose the decision to keep him in the ruck most of the game, was that sort of just him making a good start and you going with a good team? Yeah, purely that. I think you asked the question during the week at my press conference too, and I hope I answered it properly then, because I think my response was, if Goldie's going really well, we'll keep him going. But if he starts to fatigue or starts to get beaten, we can roll Prusy in there. So that's a pretty good strength to have, that we've got two big guys who potentially can be dominant, and we'll just keep working with them individually and play the one predominantly who's going the best at the time.
Was that the best you think they've combined together today?
Yeah, and I think that they've scratched the surface on that. So we'll keep trying to work on the synergy, but there were some promising signs with the two of them.
I think there is such a thing as a good 0-4.
No, well, the fact is that your naught wins, and the challenge is for us to keep keep ourselves together and not drop our bundle, and hopefully all our fans can see what we're doing, and they see that a genuinely competitive effort each week. But I think everyone's patience will be tested if we keep falling short after a really good effort. So we don't. We should have been able to clinch a couple of games at least this year, and we haven't been able to do that. And so that's where we've got to go back and keep working on it. But I think the framework's really solid.
And Zane, are you a North Melbourne supporter?
Yeah, I've been North supporter since I was born. My 5th generation North supporter. So my grandfather grew up in North Melbourne and always gone for North. So yeah.
Who is your favourite player?
I don't really tend to have a favourite player. I probably just like everyone that plays, yeah.
Whose number's on your back?
I got Taylor Garner's number, so yeah.
He was pretty good today. What did you think of his game?
I thought I had a good game, good goal that he sneaked there, so yeah.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, Brian.
Come through this way, Joe.